Hey, my name is Mya Lowe, and you are watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so excited to be joined by Mya Lowe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm really excited to dive into your new project, My Life with the Walter Boys in season one. But first off, I have to wish you a happy belated birthday. I know it was on the 6th, so it was just over a week ago, the day before the premiere. So what a way to kind of celebrate.
I know it's been a crazy week, but thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And you also share your birthday with Sarah Rafferty as well.
Yes,
What a
I know. I
coincidence.
know, which is so funny. I think I found that out while we were filming, and I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
It's too bad. I know that I think when you filmed it didn't hit December yet, so you didn't get to like celebrate your
No.
birthdays together, but I'm sure it would have been a fun thing on set to do.
It would have been nice. Yeah, we celebrated all like the summer and spring birthdays together, which is fun.
Maybe in the future. I
Yes.
guess we will see. But
Yeah.
you are a Victoria native. You're now based in Vancouver. How has your upbringing and West Coast communities shaped you?
In a lot of ways, I absolutely loved growing up in Victoria. I talk so highly of Victoria and BC in general. There's no other place I would have wanted to grow up in. I think the nature has been so huge for me, and moving over to Vancouver, that was definitely a priority, is being able to, see the mountains and go for drives up to Whistler and all that. So I definitely think that I feel very at home in BC, and I'm very loyal to British Columbia. So
When you were younger, did you know about Hollywood North? Like, were you immersed in any of like the filming going on? Did you see a lot of productions, things like that?
I started actually seeing it more as I was finishing high school. Um, I actually was more kind of in the dance scene, so I knew a lot more about the dancing in Vancouver. I had heard about that when I was in Victoria and was so inspired by it, and that definitely inspired me to move over here in the first place. But uh yeah, every once in a while I would see some things filming. I remember Descendants came and filmed in Victoria, all three movies, or no, first two, sorry. They would come over to Victoria, and while I was in, I think, grade 12, my first time on set was actually working as background on Descendants, and that was so cool to see. That was my first time seeing it in real life, so that was great.
Those giant ensemble scenes were just like incredible to watch.
Oh, in
Descendants.
yes. Oh, I know. With all the chorus performers, all the dancers, there's like 70. When I did Descendants 3, when we were all dancing, the rehearsals were massive. It was so cool.
There's no way to like learn about a big kind of musical movie set than to have worked on Descendants, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, it was legendary. And then Kenny Ortega being the director, having watched High School Musical growing up, I was kind of starstruck being around him, and he was incredible to work with.
You are a biracial artist. What can you share about your mixed heritage and its role in your identity?
Yeah, so I am half Scottish, half Chinese. My mom grew up in Scotland, then moved over to BC, and my dad, who's Chinese, grew up in Calgary. So he's Canadian. I am fourth generation Chinese. Um, I think an interesting thing about my heritage is I feel I'm always learning more and more. Um, I've even noticed just in the last couple of years, I've been asking my parents more questions about their parents and their grandparents, because I'm always so interested to know how we ended up where we ended up. Um, and yeah, seeing my parents together, obviously growing up around an interracial couple, it was so normal. But as I talked to them more and more, I started to understand that when they were dating, years and years and years back, it wasn't as normal back then to see that. So it's something I'm really proud of. And yeah, I'm very inspired by my parents' relationship and their marriage. So
That's so sweet that you're kind of learning more about them and maybe looking back at memories when they were younger today and kind of piecing that together. And I know you wore a traditional Chinese dress to the season two premiere of Yellowjackets, so it's so nice to kind of represent your culture on that stage.
Yeah, it's funny. That was actually, I think that was even like my mom's idea. I think I had seen a friend of mine who's Chinese wear like a beautiful kipao months before that. I think I had mentioned it to my mom. And as the premiere, we started hearing more about it. We were kind of discussing ideas, and we both came to that conclusion that that would be a great thing to do. And I was so happy that it worked out.
What can you share about your background and that initial spark that made you want to pursue a career in the arts?
Mm. Definitely it came from dance. I owe so much to dance, as I'm sure we'll talk about more. But uh, for me, I grew up watching YouTube videos of dancers and choreography, and I would try to kind of teach myself. And that was something I was so fond of. And my mom was actually a ballerina when she was younger. So she took note of how into dance I was and kind of pushed me to go into classes. And I ended up joining this hip hop dance studio in Victoria, which changed my life. And that definitely got me more interested in the arts. I spent so many days a week there after school. That's where I really, really found my community. And from there, I kind of started thinking about film and TV as a dancer, not even acting yet. And yeah, from there, I started thinking about moving to Vancouver. And I mean, at one point I was thinking LA, and I went to LA with my dad to take dance classes. And it was just something I was so passionate and fell in love with so fast. And that hasn't gone away. And I'm so grateful for that. So yeah, I would say that dance was definitely what sparked my interest in the arts. So
And it's so important that, like they say that spark doesn't die. Like you still have it because otherwise, why would you kind of be doing what you're doing, still doing dance and liking movement to this day? So you are a former competitive hip hop dancer. So tell
yeah.
me a bit about that, what kind of role that played in your life and this competition aspect of it.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So throughout high school, from grade 9 to 12, I was competing. So every spring and summer, I was traveling a lot. I was kind of having to miss school a lot for dance, and uh, I fell in love with competing. Being on stage specifically, having kind of that live performance aspect was so interesting to me, and it just gave me so much adrenaline. And that's why I still compete to this day with a team. So it's lower commitment in a way now, but uh, that aspect of it hasn't gone away from me. I love to compete. I love to go to competitions and see what other people bring as well, and meet people at competitions. It's such a beautiful community, the dance community here, especially in Vancouver. It's really changed my life.
So in terms of competition, is it Studio North that you
Yes.
compete with? Okay, but you used to rep Canada because I know you were competing before in Italy at like some world championships. So I mean, that's not a bad place to travel and get to
No.
perform at.
Yeah, Italy was a great trip. That was the furthest I've gone for dance ever. Otherwise, it was a lot of places in the States, and like Mexico and all around Canada kind of deal. But Italy, I mean, it was a great trip. It was awesome.
And about that dance community that you said really kind of cultivated, nurtured your passion. Tell me a bit about, the friends you've made and just the overall atmosphere because it can't always be easy. Like you hear stories sometimes about the dance community, like it can be very competitive. There can be some like toxicity in there, but what have been your experiences over these years?
I owe so much to the dance community. My best friends in the entire world are people that I met through dance and still continue to dance with some of them. And when I was in high school, especially, I didn't always feel like at school I had a place, but when I go to the studio, there was just no question about it. And yeah, I mean, there's a couple friends I made in grade 9 at the studio in Victoria that are still my best friends now, which is so special. And I think it all really comes down to sharing that passion for something. And dance is something that just requires so much self-discipline, especially when it comes to competing, and really leaning on each other when you're on a team in order to kind of pick yourselves back up when things don't go your way or when you have a tough rehearsal. So there's something so special about that. And it's hard to explain. It's something like you kind of experience when you're there, but the Vancouver dance community is something that I absolutely love and I owe so much to. And yeah, I feel very connected to it still, which I feel grateful for.
There's some great videos that have been posted in the past. A lot of them were on, I think, Studio North's page. My favorite was like the Billie Eilish board you did kind of the dance
Oh,
and choreo for. And more recently, you also performed in and did choreo, co-choreographer for a Jay Freeze's Higher Stakes music video, which I thought was a really cool one because he's also an actor musician.
yeah, yeah. So we actually met at the dance studio in Victoria. And that was, I mean, he was singing already and I knew him that way. But when he reached out to me and Sam about choreographing for this music video, we filmed that in Victoria in this beautiful barn warehouse. And that was, yeah, that was a great experience. I loved how it turned out. Ajay is so talented and just, yeah, a wonderful person all around. So I'm glad you brought that up.
How seamless was that transition to acting without the dancing involved for you? Like, take me through that kind of conscious decision because, and I will say, in your two, current roles with Yellowjackets and Walter Boys, there is not any dancing involved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. So when I originally signed with an agency over in Vancouver, it was a dance-based agency, but I did immediately kind of get into some acting classes because I wanted to be able to audition for roles that had maybe both dancing and acting. So I have been training sort of since I moved here, but it wasn't something I had found like a huge passion for yet. And I at that time I wasn't even considering it as my sole career without dance. So over the years, as I started to be on set more and more, I kind of observed the actors. And Descendants 3, I will say, was probably one of the biggest turnarounds for me because I saw the incredible work they were doing on top of being in these 8 hour long dance rehearsals, like 4 or 5 times a week. Um, I was so inspired by that. And I loved the work that they got to do. And I got more into watching TV and film. And I kind of would see what people were doing and I was like I want to tell these stories and I think I want to move away from only doing it through movement. I'd love to be able to use my voice and sit in a character and have that character be mine. So as the years sort of went on, I started training more seriously. I started auditioning more, and then I eventually moved to just a full acting career with only dance being a side hobby and something that I just stayed passionate about rather than having it be my job. Because I think that I was starting to lose a little bit of that fire for it by doing it as a job. So yeah, I moved into acting, and eventually, over the couple of years, I did some smaller roles, and then Yellowjackets came, and obviously that ended up being a huge show, and that was an incredible experience in its own. So, uh, yeah, that's sort of how I ended up here.
I love that. And sometimes you kind of have to make those decisions that are necessary for yourself. Like you said, if dance became the sole thing you would do with the acting, and if you begin to lose a bit of that passion, like that's not good long term as well for
Mhm.
for you
Yeah,
and your career.
definitely. Yeah, and I think it started to scare me to experience this sort of, loss of joy for it. I could just tell something wasn't clicking anymore. And it didn't mean I didn't want to dance anymore, but I think I had to change the role that dance had in my life. And I'm really happy that I took that step because it's definitely changed my relationship with dance overall.
Let's talk about Jen and Yellowjackets. What has this project taught you both about the industry, but also about yourself as an actor and your capabilities?
Okay. Yeah. Yellowjackets, it's been such an incredible experience to be a part of something that we didn't even assume would be how huge it is now. When we were filming first season, I remember we were all, putting our entire hearts into these roles and these scenes that were very, very emotionally difficult to film. And I'm so happy to see that it's turned out the way it has. It's definitely taught me um, it's taught me how to be resilient in situations that were really tough. I think, on top of the long days, that's also with Yellowjackets, the tone of the show. It's not a, upbeat, joyful show. There's so much tension and uncomfortability, and especially for us in the cabin. I mean, we're supposed to be hungry and starving and cold, and in the second season, cold. And on top of that comes with us, wearing several layers when we're inside and it's hot and we're having to pretend we're freezing, and filming really dark scenes all day or for several days was definitely a huge barrier for us to cross over. But because we were all in it together, we had no choice but to just push through, and that helped a lot too. I can't imagine doing something like that just on my own. So having an ensemble like that was really inspiring, and seeing just how much everyone leaned on each other during that, really like those tough scenes that you can imagine, taught me also to lean on the people around me when I'm on set. You can't shy away from those situations. I feel like as humans, we need that connection. And if you're really tapping into something that's so dark and disturbing, it's good to bring yourself down, like back down to earth, by leaning on each other and talking about it too, and how it makes you feel.
And it's a lot of weight that you carry. Like you mentioned, the subject matter is so dark in the show. So it's something that it doesn't necessarily leave you when the day is over. And it's learning to kind of carry that in your day-to-day life, not just when you're on set. And you mentioned, it's such a remarkable female-led ensemble cast. What can you say about that energy?
Yes. Our cast is just incredible. I mean, being on set every day for that show was just an entire, lesson in itself of just what acting is. And there's certain days, I mean, you see people go through different things where, it's like, what am I doing here? Or like, what is this scene doing to me right now? Like, everyone's kind of having their own moments. And I think getting to watch art like that, and then to go and watch it on a screen later on and see, the adult cast absolutely kill it. It's such a lucky thing. I feel really, really lucky to have been a part of it. And I do feel like I've learned so much about the craft in itself just by observing everyone around me while we were filming.
How about the relationships that you formed behind the scenes with this group?
Oh my gosh, yeah. We have our group chats. We chat quite a bit. I went to Samantha's wedding not long ago, and the cast was able to all, like, most of them were able to come out to that, and that was so much fun. It was just so great to see everyone again, and we all had so much fun at the premiere as well. A lot of us live in different spots now, but the fact that we're able to stay connected still, send each other TikToks every once in a while about certain things that we talked about. Um, I'm lucky that I have a few people in Vancouver that are from the cast, so we're able to get together every once in a while when everyone's not traveling and things like that. So it's definitely created friendships that are lasting, and that's been really nice to see.
I was gonna say I saw that picture from her wedding, and it's so nice that so many of you were able to come out and support. And like you mentioned, you don't see each other all the time, so to have that trip must have been really special for you.
It was so special. That was my first wedding as like a grown up. I haven't been to one since I was a kid, and during the vows, I bawled my eyes out. It was a beautiful wedding, and Samantha was beautiful. Christian was great. Like it was a great time. So I'm really happy for them, but also just that we all got to see each other.
Now, what can you share about your audition and casting process for My Life with the Walter Boys, including how your initial audition for Grace ended up with you being cast as Kiley?
Yeah. So I auditioned for Grace, and I sent in a self tape, and then I got I'm trying to remember the exact process of how it happened, but I got some feedback, and then they sent me a breakdown for Kiley, and I hadn't seen Kiley's breakdown before. So right when I read her character, I was like, "Oh, this makes sense. This makes sense." I loved Grace's character, but Ellie, who plays her, is just, I mean, incredible and perfect for that role. And right when I saw Kiley, I had a really great feeling that if I were to play this role, this would feel authentic to me. So I did a callback as Kiley. I got to wear my little gaming headphones, and that was with our showrunner, Melanie, and it went great. When I left it, I just felt like, this isn't far off from who I was and still am in a way. Um, so I felt very connected to the character right away.
Do you remember which kind of scene or piece of dialogue you had to read during that kind of callback?
I think it was I was oh it okay, I remember actually. It was a scene from episode 1 where I am gaming with Alex. It's my introduction scene.
Oh, like at school.
Yes, at school. So we're on the laptops gaming and we're talking about Jackie and yeah, so that was actually it was first of all one of the last scenes I filmed on set, but it's also my introduction scene. So that was really cool to go back and film at the end of the season and to see how it turned out. It's so great. Yeah.
It's probably really cool that you kind of got to see that progression because I mean you read it the first time, but now that if you filmed it towards the end, you're kind of more in tune with this character and you can maybe deliver those lines a bit better.
Absolutely. And I think filming those first 2 episodes near the end of the season was really cool because we got to kind of reverse our relationships with each other, but also create like a good foundation for what we already know is going to happen later on. Like it's so interesting. Block shooting is such an interesting thing, but it can really serve a great purpose as well. So yeah, filming episode 1 and 2 was really cute that way.
A bit of like reverse engineering of your brain.
Yeah, it was confusing sometimes, I won't lie, but it worked out for the best. So yeah.
What drew you towards Kylie specifically and the script and story, including Ali Novak's original Wattpad novel?
Yeah. So I think what drew me, I mean, right, just from the breakdown, even Kylie is Alex's best friend, and she's described as a gamer girl, which is so funny because I grew up playing video games. I I played Minecraft in grade 6 like religiously. Many hours were spent on that, and then I got more into Black Ops, like Call of Duty. So like the more shooter games, I played those a lot in middle school, and I played those with my guy friends, and that was our thing. We just Skype at the time, which was a thing. We'd Skype and play together or go on Xbox Live and do it. And that was a huge part of my childhood, honestly. So right when I saw Gamer Girl, I just it just clicked and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I think I mentioned that to my mom too when I read the breakdown. I was like, Mom, this is perfect for me. So yeah, that was something that I loved about it. I think I only got to really learn more and more about Kylie uh, as we were getting the scripts as we filmed. I think originally what I knew was that she's Alex's best friend and she's definitely like a support system for him, which I think most of us can relate to in our friendships. But as the season went on and I sort of saw how their friendship worked, I saw how present she was for him, but also how she was kind of that voice of reason in a lot of situations too. She's not afraid to be a little blunt when it's needed and kind of bring him down to earth again, and reassure him in situations as well when he needs it. I think Kylie is someone who can really read a person and know what they need to hear. And there's several scenes throughout the season where she is that kind of voice of reason for people, if it's Skylar or Cole. And that was so fun to explore too, to be able to be that friend for people that you didn't even know were going to be close to you or your friend when you originally got the role. It's so interesting how that works, but I'm so happy with how that turned out.
She definitely does have that grounding effect. So I like that you kind of mentioned that and got to kind of learn more about that as the season progressed and you got the scripts. What similarities and differences did you see between yourself and Kylie in terms of her personality, values, interests, aside from the gaming, which I love that you played those like kind of multiplayer games before and kind of got that experience to draw from?
Yeah. Even it, I mean, so I'll start with one thing, which is Kylie's style. As we were doing fittings and things like that, as we were trying on things, I remember for the first fitting that we had in Vancouver, I wore this sweater and these jeans to it. And I remember our team mentioning, hey, I like those jeans, that those look like Kylie jeans, and like this looks like a Kylie outfit. And right from that moment, I kind of knew, okay, we are on the same page about what Kylie wears and what she looks like, which is great. And I think I'll stick with similarities for now, but I think just how in her friendships, the way that she shows up for people and the way that she uh, isn't quick to assume things about people either. I love her relationship with Jackie. That was so interesting to me because something made clear to me early in the show was that this isn't going to be a show about girls fighting over boys. It's going to be a show about friendships of all kinds, relationships of all kinds, and how people, these kids in high school, are kind of navigating all these crazy moments in their lives. So getting to see how Kylie is around Jackie was really lovely because they were still able to form this really nice friendship where they were kind to each other, they were supportive of each other, and the whole Alex thing didn't need to be a whole situation for them. It's not about them, fighting for someone. They prioritize the friendship that they have, and they're kind to each other, and they recognize that all either person wants is love and relationships and friendships that make them feel good about themselves. So that was something I really admired about Kylie, but I also feel like that's something I can relate to my own life. I love my girls, my friendships with women. I really look up to a lot of the women in my life. Ellie from the show, we got very close as we filmed, and she's definitely one of my best friends to this day, and we'll FaceTime once a week and talk about everything. And that's definitely an example of like a female friendship in my life that I really cherish. So Kylie is someone I feel that can really get along with anyone, but she also doesn't allow people to step all over her. I love how she stands up for herself. It's respectful, it's graceful, but it's also it's genuine. She's not going to let someone step all over her. And I think I really respect that about her. And I respect the writing so much of the show, the fact that we were able to see so many layers of Kylie this season.
I really appreciate you sharing all of that. And it's so insightful how you saw the character and really picked up on a lot of what goes on throughout the season. Like you mentioned, her and Jackie, there's not any malicious intent that Kylie has when she's interacting with Jackie, although she's kind of the one harboring those feelings that other people don't necessarily know about. I wondered if you had any fast food service jobs when you were younger to pull from, or
Yeah, my first job was at McDonald's. I worked there all throughout grade 10. Honestly, loved it. I had a good time. I learned so much. Uh, I loved working in the drive-through. I would just do my thing at the window. That was my very first job. So I definitely pulled from that. I think I've also worked in restaurants and cafes as well. So being able to pull from that too was fun because Kylie does have several jobs and is working a lot. So I definitely had that experience to pull from.
it really wasn't a stretch for you, this character at all.
No, which is nice, which is nice. Yeah.
And we can see as the season progresses that Kylie has that romantic interest in Alex. What does she see in Alex and like about him?
Mm. I think without diving too much into their history of their friendship, I really imagine that Kylie and Alex have such a strong foundation that they can be completely authentically themselves around each other. Um, Up until that last episode, there isn't a lot of things they're keeping from each other. I think that Kylie, like you said, harbors her emotions, but I think that there are reasons for that. Um, but I love that, Alex will go and complain to Kylie about something, and she's like, okay, come on, like, get with it. They're so honest with each other. And I love that about them. And before we started filming our scenes together, me and Ashby met up and actually talked a lot about Kylie and Alex and tried to kind of figure out the foundation for them. And I think we had this baseline, but then as we were filming, we found so much more in between it, and the chemistry was able to just like come so naturally, which we were really lucky about. I mean, obviously, I got so lucky with my scene partner as well. So
It does say that, Kylie can read Alex like a book, which we can see. Unfortunately, can't say the same thing vice versa because
yeah.
he definitely cannot pick up on a lot of like little things that bother her. She kind of has to tell him, but that goes back to kind of that bluntness of her, which I love. On the flip side, what flaws do you think Kylie sees in Alex and his turbulent love life with Paige and then with Jackie? Like, why does she tolerate it? Because as you mentioned, he's going to her a lot, outpouring his emotions about what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm. I think she tolerates it because she knows that he is such a lover. And I think that's also a reason why Carly loves Alex so much and stays around him. Because she knows that he has good intentions all around. He wants to love and be loved, just like any one of us. Same with Kylie. And she sees that in him. She doesn't see it as much as a disadvantage. I mean, I think there's moments of that it gets on her nerves, absolutely. And she's not afraid to tell him that. But I think overall she admires that lovingness that he has. And yeah, no, you're right. He also, yeah, doesn't quite pick up on as much with Kylie, but I would imagine that if the roles were reversed and Kylie had been coming to him about someone in her life, he would have listened to. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very fair assessment. And I mean, in the future, I would love to see clips if when they were children and kind of build that
Yeah.
relationship. Like, I can just imagine, like, when they're younger, it was like since kindergarten, right?
Yeah, no, I know. It would be really cute to see that. That's a good idea.
And Kylie is also friends with Grace and Skylar, who on the surface seem to be a lot more gossip oriented than her. What can you say about their friendship dynamics and just really the support that they give each other throughout the season?
Yeah. It's so funny. Well, Ellie, who plays Grace, as I mentioned, like we become such good friends and we are different in certain ways, but it clicks so well. And I do feel like our characters are, yeah, just other versions of ourselves. And same with Jalen, who plays Skylar. All three of us, whenever we got to be in a scene together, it was some of my favorite days were spent with them. Even when it came to hanging out outside of set. So I think, yeah, in terms of character, they are more gossipy. I think that they enjoy, the drama, but I also think that Kylie kind of does too. I mean, I just imagine myself in high school. It's fun to kind of like hear about the things, especially if you're like not on the inside of it and you're not contributing to it, but kind of getting to sit there and just observe and listen. And I think that that's the role that Kylie kind of plays in that friendship, and she doesn't mind that. I think that's what's comfortable for her is to let them get carried away. It entertains her, but it's also a reason why she loves her friends. It's like uh, they're also different. So
I
mhm.
think that's true. There's always going to be like that curious friend who maybe doesn't participate as much, but like you mentioned, having that open ear, kind of soaking it in and what's going on. What are Kylie's thoughts about Jackie? Like you kind of touched a bit on the friendship that we see. Maybe not, they don't show too many like one-on-one scenes, but you can kind of see her being around and, she's kind to Jackie. But why does she also see or not see her as a good fit for Alex?
Mm, it's a good question. I mean, Jackie's background in itself, I think that Kylie has a lot of empathy for Jackie. Um, and I imagine like Kylie knows the Walter boys. She knows Alex so well. And seeing how Jackie is with them and is living with them. Um, I don't see that. I don't think that Kylie sees a lot of faults in Jackie herself. I think that the whole love triangle situation is probably exhausting to be around, but that doesn't mean that it's pinned on Jackie. I think it's a lot of different things going on there. So I couldn't really speak to any reasons why Kylie would dislike Jackie. I can see why jealousy would come up, but I never think that it's been taken out on Jackie herself. If anything, that's internalized by Kiley. Um, but I think that Kiley feels for Jackie and sees her as just like another teenage girl who's just trying to figure it out, who has also gone through something so traumatic, who also wants to be loved and feel like she has a home. And I think that that's not a lot to ask for. So I think that that's how Kiley kind of views Jackie.
And you can see in school, like Jackie's smart, she's kind of a go-getter. I feel like that's something Kiley would also like appreciate, like girl
Mhm.
power, that kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She gets her stuff done. And I think that that's super admirable. I think Kiley admires that a lot about her.
Which was your favorite scene to be a part of and why?
Okay. My favorite, okay. One of my favorite scenes to shoot was doing that scene with Grace at Heritage Park. That's the real location we filmed, the county fair. um, we had our little like one-on-one moment where she's showing off her dress and her new hair. And every time we did that, we just like would skip away together and be laughing. And it was just so much fun to film that. We got to really let loose. I felt like I got to bring out that kind of girlier side of Kiley, that more feminine energy where she's just excited for her friend to feel good, and she's just cheering her on. It was so much fun. And it also just reminds me of me and Ellie's friendship. We do that for each other all the time. So it really just felt so natural to film that. And it was so much fun.
Again, there was no acting involved here. You were basically just being yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. We were just, yeah, exactly. That's what it felt like.
Is there anything you remember from filming the homecoming huddle in episode 3 and all the different moving parts throughout that one?
Yeah, that was a big day. I have so much respect for the director and the ADs that day. I wasn't in a ton of those scenes, but I did have like my individual ones. And just for the one that I was there and approaching Alex and talking to him, even then I could see how many moving parts there are. There's people queuing background, and they have to have like the perfect amount of traffic between people and timing out people, coming up and saying their lines and hitting those marks. There's so many things. And we had a lot of background that day. We had a lot of cast that day. So it's a lot to handle. And I'm really happy with how it all turned out. It was super fun, but it was definitely a complicated shoot. Yeah.
And what's interesting is, I mean, you're from Canada, so homecoming, like varsity sports teams like football, not as big in Canada. So kind
Yeah.
of getting to experience that must have been something new.
Yeah, I barely even knew what a homecoming huddle was. Like I had never even really heard of that terminology until the show, and I kind of looked more into it because I haven't experienced that myself in high school. So that was actually really fun to live out that little fantasy.
And you got to hold Walt, the
Mhm.
stuffed bear. Did you get, so you actually got double the plushies because at the county fair you also got to hold like a stuffed pig. Did you get to take any of those home with you?
I have them. I'll show you right now. Um, I've got him
Oh,
and I've got Walt. Yeah.
does the pig
So
have a name?
the pig. Okay, I think Miss Piggy is my go-to with that. But yeah, I packed them, brought them back from Calgary. They're my little buddies, and I actually brought Walt when we all sat and binged the episodes together here. I brought Walt to come watch too. Um, yeah, so it was cute to see. Piglet was my favorite uh, cartoon character growing up. So I have like 5 Piglet stuffies at home. So that day at the county fair when I got to choose, it was like I just knew right away this one was it.
If someone else took claim on it, you're like, no, no, no.
I know.
I'm ready to fight you for it.
Yeah, I would fight for it. Absolutely.
Adorable kind of I would say like a wrap gift to take home though, because those are really cute and I love those scenes. Episode 10 had Will and Haley's wedding at the
Mhm.
Walter Ranch. What do you remember from filming that episode? Because there was, so again, a lot of moving parts, but there was Cole's
Mhm.
speech, the vows, the dancing.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of cast there. That was so much fun because that was my first time really at the ranch. And we got to spend a lot of time there because the wedding was over a couple days. We were doing different things there. Um, It was so beautiful. The ranch was my favorite set, absolutely. The house is massive. I mean, the scenery is incredible. And I felt very lucky that we were heading out to set for sunrise and like going home at sunset. Like it was so amazing to experience that. And then to also, on top of that, everyone was kind of dressed up. We had more makeup and hair done, and everyone just looked so cute. The Walter boys in their little like suspenders just looked so cute. And I remember watching the vows be filmed, and I thought those were beautiful. So yeah, I thought the wedding altogether, we finished off with that. We were shooting episode 9 and 10 right at the end to finish it off, and getting to go to the ranch near the end of the season, especially during the summer, was so lucky. And I also get to hang out more with the Walter brothers, like the younger kids too. They're so sweet. So I had a really good time.
I was speaking with Connor, and he mentioned that unfortunately, though, there were a lot of like moths in the air at the
Oh
time.
yeah, 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 definitely. There was a lot of yeah, like bugs, and some of us were kind of getting sunburned. Like we were out in the sun. We were very lucky to have good weather, but there's definitely those other, you
I
know.
like that you remember the positive things, and he was like, "Oh, I just remember like it was." He said it was nice too, but he also mentioned that it
Okay.
was very, very hot.
Yeah, I mean, he also got to be at the ranch a lot more, so I understand why maybe that maybe he finds more of those aspects of it. That's so funny.
Take me through the emotional scene between Kiley and Alex in his room after the wedding. Like, how did you prepare for it? And take me through Kiley's thoughts and feelings as the scene progresses.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one we were all kind of waiting to happen. So I was really excited. I was nervous because there was so much lead up to that. And the day that we ended up shooting it, actually, we ended up kind of squeezing it in at the end of the day because we were running well on time. So they kind of ended up squeezing it in. And Jason, the director, was like, "Hey, you ready? Can you shoot it today?" And I was like, "Okay, sure. Why not? Why not? It's all meant to happen for a reason." So yeah, I didn't have the entire night or anything to mentally prepare. We were supposed to film it usually the day after, but I think it was almost better that way. I wasn't in my head about it. I just spent all day with everyone, same with Alex or Ashby. So I was already kind of in the zone of Kiley. And yeah, we did a little private rehearsal in the room, and it was emotional, super emotional. Ashby was incredible about just like being there for me, and making sure I had what I needed to do this scene. Um, and just from the beginning, I mean, it flowed so well. Dealing with drunk Alex is it's funny. But getting to, have that moment where I'm helping him, get ready for bed, it really shows also just the length of our friendship, and how much I care for him. And um yeah, I was really happy with how that turned out. I think with any emotional scene, you can only mentally prepare so much until it's the moment of and you just have to be there and be present and be there for your scene partner as well. But I couldn't have asked for a better partner, and I couldn't have asked for a better director to be there with me that day. And Melanie was there as well, and kind of chatting with me through it. We talked a lot about where Kiley was in that moment, and what she was really wanting. And I think that helped me bring up the emotions a lot more.
It was such a beautiful scene, maybe like my favorite through in the season. And you can all the eye contact that they make, and like when her eyes start to basically glisten, and there's almost like that moment of hope for her. And then he says, "You're so cool. You're like practically a dude." I mean, in that moment, what do you think that she is feeling?
Just hearing that brought me back to the table read of when we all first heard it for the first time. And I remember my head just went in my hands, and I was like, oh, I can't even look at him right now as he's saying this. And it's just a table read. I think everyone had the same reaction of like, what are you doing? Um, but I think in that moment, I think all she really wanted was like, um, to know that what she'd been feeling all throughout that season wasn't just made up in her head. I think she just needed that little bit of confirmation that she wasn't just crazy or stupid. And I think that that comment hit so hard because she wants to be seen as a woman as well. She wants to be seen as this like feminine energy because she it is like that is who she is. And Jackie can be seen that way, but for some reason Kylie can't. Like that's what kind of hurts even more. And on top of Kylie having been there for him the entire time, to then hear that comment, I think that that's what really hit. And honestly, it wasn't a lot of acting at that point. I just felt so bad. I felt bad for Kylie myself, and it all just kind of was there. And me and Ashby had a big hug after because it was a tough one. It was a tough one, but needed to happen. So
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to both of you, and I love that Jason Priestley, Canadian legend. You got to work with him on that one, and have Melanie there as well. Just a bit more about you. You've talked about you and Ashby, and I love how invested you both were in your characters and the nuances in their dynamics, especially going back and forth and jumping between episodes. Do you remember meeting him for the first time, and like what was he like as a person but also a scene partner? You mentioned that he was also there. You were there to support each other, really.
yeah, yeah. Well, I remember seeing him for the first time over Zoom at the table read and immediately thinking, oh, that's my Alex, and this is who I'm going to be working with. And we were both just like grinning as we did the scenes, and I immediately felt connected to him. And then in Calgary, the first time we met in person was at a cafe, I think a day or two before we actually started shooting together. We reached out and decided to, meet up and chat, like I mentioned before. And we chatted for quite a while and just talked about how we prepare. We talked about ourselves as well, just so we can get to know each other. But Ashby also introduced me to, his Alex playlist. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good idea. I'm going to make one for Kylie too, and I'll share it to you. And all throughout the season, we would listen to each other's. I would listen to his on the way to film scenes, and he would listen to mine. And every once in a while, I still get a text from Ashby that's like, "I'm in New York listening to the Kylie playlist," and I'll go listen to his too. So we have that to fall back on. But I think that that was just such a great start to this friendship that we have, and the connection that we were able to build throughout the season was so special. And it really just came from so much trust. And yeah, I have so much love for Ashby.
Can you give us a couple of hints, maybe a couple songs that were on your playlist for Kylie?
On mine, so mine is similar to mine just in the way that there's a lot of different genres, but Phoebe Bridgers was definitely one artist that came up a lot for me. I also had some, more kind of rock themed songs as well. I had some like Cage the Elephant. Cigarette Daydreams was a song by them that I felt was very Kylie. I always pictured it as this playlist as something that I would play in the car as Kylie, as me and like Alex are driving through town or something. We also had some Frank Ocean in there. It was all over the place. And but it all just made sense. So
Which was your favorite scene that Kylie was not in, and why?
it's not in. So one scene that I loved how it came off the script, off the paper, was episode 1, the first breakfast scene of all the kids running around, Jackie's first breakfast in the house. Because when I read it, I remember reading it and thinking like, wow, this is going to be hectic. And it was like just the perfect chaos, and getting to see each character in their element. And Sarah Rafferty, of course, just like blowing me out of the water. It's just insane. So good. Her and George, Mark Lucas, were such an incredible pair to watch. I love watching their storyline, but I also just love their relationship with the kids. So getting to see that introduced in episode 1 was so special, and seeing how each kid kind of took up their own space in the house was so sweet. So I feel like that's one of my favorite scenes that I wasn't a part of. Mm-hmm.
Definitely the kitchen scenes were organized chaos. So I
Yeah.
heard there's just so many people around. But again, like you mentioned, those are so nice to jump from the script to the screen. If renewed for a season 2, what do you hope to see and explore with Kylie?
I think I'd love to see more of her friendship with Jackie. I'd love to see more of her friendship with Cole. Getting to do those couple scenes with Noah was so great. I loved how they turned out. He's also just a wonderful scene partner, but they have such an interesting dynamic. And I would love to explore that more and see how their friendship kind of lands. And also, I want to be at the ranch more. So I'd love to see Kiley kind of around more of the Walter brothers, maybe around Danny a little more because I love Connor. But also Danny's character is so special and so sweet. And he brings so much to that character. So I'd love to see how Kiley and Danny kind of hit it off and how they would collab together. Mm-hmm.
Are there any other storylines that you would like to see explored, kind of, I want to say, as a fan viewer of the show in season two?
Yes. I'd love to see Aaron and Danny's relationship. I mean, obviously, Alex and Kiley, I am very curious as to how they would come back from that scene in episode 10 and how their dynamic will now be different as well. More storylines as well. Uncle Richard and Tara is such a fun pair together. So seeing them come together in episode 10 was great. I messaged Ashley about that yesterday and just how I think they're just such a fun collaboration of personalities as well. So I'd love to see more of that storyline too. And obviously, George and Catherine, I mean, they have such a beautiful relationship in the show. I think even the way that they have little bits of conflict, I love that it shows this kind of healthy way that couples can work through those things and communicate. It's really inspiring to see, and I love that it's just done so effortlessly. So I mean, I'd love to see more of them as well.
That's a really good point to make, because as much as this is focused on like teenagers coming of age, I mean, you have the parents, and it's really about being married for so long and having all these children, how you deal with, like you mentioned, those little bit of conflicts and how you manage to come out of that stronger. And even with it's interesting with Will and Haley as well, and how they kind of navigated their problems throughout the season. What can you say about the friendships you formed with the cast and what they mean to you?
They are so special. I think the last week of this show being out has just, I think, hit everyone in so many wild ways, but it's been so lovely to be able to talk to each cast member and hear about their experiences and how they're kind of coping with this kind of new attention that none of us really expected to be like this. But we've all been so supportive of each other. And something that was so special about this show was just the friendships that were formed, but also maintained. And after we wrapped, I mean, we went on a wrap trip together to BC and spent more days together after we finished because we just didn't want to end it there. We wanted to have our own little time together outside of set. And that was so special, and dropping people at the airport and everyone crying. And I mean, it just kind of goes to show how wonderful and true these friendships are. And also to have all this BTS coming out as well now, seeing everyone's posts, it feels so different because I'm seeing so many pictures over the course of like 6 months that we filmed, and it really just goes to show how much time we actually spent together. I mean, it's been a year and a half since we filmed this, since we wrapped it. So getting to now look back on those photos it makes me emotional because it shows the how much we love each other and cherish each other as well. So yeah, I love them so much, and I owe so much to this cast just in terms of how many new friendships I have now that I feel very safe in and happy with.
So beautiful. And I imagine it's very nostalgic for all of you. You're probably like, oh, I didn't even know you had a camera. You had your camera rolling when you guys were hanging out, you know, when they yelled cut. There's a lot of behind the scenes, which I know fans really love to see. Had you known any of the other BC cast before the show? Like between Connor, Alicia, Kayla, Abby?
So it's funny. I mean, the Vancouver acting community is actually very tight knit. So I had a lot of mutual friends with each of them. And as we kind of met up in Calgary and like talked more, we realized how many people we actually all mutually knew. I know that Connor and Alicia have known each other for years and years and years, kind of grew up together in a way. And yeah, otherwise, I mean, I was scene partners with Gabrielle Abby, who plays Olivia, uh, start of this year in an acting class. We got paired up together, and that was us kind of like we came back together. We're like, oh my gosh, like let's start hanging out. And now we're just like best friends and hanging out all the time. And so it's pretty easy to run into each other here, which is nice. But also, yeah, it's interesting to see how many people we all share in common too.
Yeah, it's a small world out there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What kind of messages have you received so far from fan support, and what has that meant to you to see so many people who are loving Kiley?
It's been really overwhelming in the best way. I didn't expect it. I think I went into this the show coming out with I wanted to just keep myself grounded about it and say, you know, whatever happens, happens. What people like and what they don't like, you know, everyone will have their opinions. But so far the feedback has been wonderful about Kiley and Alex's relationship. I'm so happy that people are tapping into it and seeing what we saw when we filmed it and what we wanted the fans to see. The messages have been so wonderful. I love receiving them and hearing how much people love the show and how much they want a season two and how much they want to see more of Kiley and Alex. And yeah, I really appreciate those things. So keep them coming. I love them.
You see a lot of the edits as well.
Yeah, I do go look at the edits and they're so good. Yeah, me and Ellie send a lot to each other.
We will go through some tweets
Mhm.
now. So
Yeah.
if you have your phone,
Renew my life with the Walter boys solely so that Kiley can get a girlfriend in season two. And then it's this little gif of Mark giving a little thumbs. I love that. I love that so much. I actually did have a couple friends send me this. And it makes me really happy because I mean, it's all up in the air. Who knows what's going to happen? But I love that people are kind of creating theories and ideas of what we could come back with. You never know. You actually never know. So I do love that tweet.
I think it's a lot about, like you mentioned, the fan engagement too, that people are just engaging and trying to figure out what's going to happen next. I know the comments below are like, she could do so much better than Alex. And also, it talks about your chemistry with Grace, Kylie's chemistry with Grace, which is a compliment for you and Ellie, I would think.
Yeah, we love that so much. We as we were shooting, we were like, we want edits of us together because we just love each other so much, and this friendship is so fun. And I'm happy that people do recognize that. That makes us both very happy. I feel like Kiley and Cole could work. I'm sorry, the main ships don't do too much for me. I need drama. Ah, okay. They want drama. Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting one.
And I feel like what's funny is that Cole is the one who was like he knew that Kiley had an interest in Alex, so he can almost read her better than Alex can.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, I think that also Cole has that maturity to him. I think he's very observant. And I love that Cole was the one to call it out and put it into words first. I think that's so interesting that him out of everyone did it. Um, I think if they were to get together, that'd be crazy. I mean, like so much drama. If you want drama, that would absolutely do that. But I have seen some edits of just like Cole and Kiley and people saying like maybe these guys could be besties, and I'd be so down. I think that'd be super fun, a really fun dynamic to explore for sure.
As long as he's level-headed and not drunk and moping, I do think that they would get along pretty well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think that they actually share a lot more in common than we think. This next one says, Mya Lowe, you will only ever be Jen to me. And then all their picture is actually a picture of Jen from Yellowjackets. Okay, that is so funny. Okay, I'm gonna read the first little response. It says she could be the lead in a super popular major motion picture in a few years, and I would still be like, "Oh, gee, that's Jen Yellow Jacket." Okay, so real. I understand. I do think that Yellowjackets definitely it once you see someone in a certain role, it's sometimes hard to imagine them in something else. Also, the jump from Yellowjackets to Walter Boys is so large, like such different shows. I actually went to after I filmed or we wrapped Walter Boys, I started Yellowjackets season 2 about like 3 weeks later, and that was a super interesting shift. Um, so it's fair that people are saying that because I've also had that where I see a person and I'm like, I see you as this character from this other show. So I hear
It
you.
also just speaks to the cult, like I want to say the cult like following that Yellow Jackets does have though. Like people are so invested in all these characters.
Yeah, loyal fans, I will say. And I love it. The edits are great. For Yellowjacket edits are something else. They are so cool. Okay, open the next one. This, I had not seen this. Okay, it says, yeah, Mya Lowe with admin everywhere now. And they have a picture of me. That's
I
wow.
think they put it on a printed your picture on a card holder to put on their bag.
That is wow. Okay, that's amazing. That just made my day. Oh, that picture actually Samantha Hanratty took of me. It was my first time in Malibu, and I went to LA to go hang out with everyone, and Samantha had taken that picture. So that's very special. Oh, very sweet. That makes me really happy. Oh my gosh. Just imagined Mya Lowe telling me to delete my account like Doja did to her fans and threw up. And then thankfully someone commented after that, Maya would never do this to us. Okay. Yes, I would never tell anyone to delete their account ever. Please post what, you do your thing. I do read a lot of the tweets and stuff that you guys post. So just so you guys know, I do appreciate a lot of them. So yeah, I'll never tell you to delete your account. No. Not
Yeah,
for
like
me.
that's not coming from you. If it's like some weird person in the future who's impersonating you, that could be
Yeah.
different, but you yourself would never.
It won't, that's not me. Promise you that's not me if that ever comes up. That's great
That
though. I
was
love reading those.
thank you for reading those tweets. I have a couple more questions for you. You did say that you would love to be in an action film in the future. What female action actresses, characters, heroes have inspired you?
Yes. So my original, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it probably for the rest of my life, but Spy Kids, Carmen Cortez, my OG inspiration. She's just the best, so badass. She I remember like watching those movies and I would hang out with my neighbor Nathan and he would be Junie and I'd be Carmen and like we had like these fake gadget toys. We'd pretend to be spies, we'd run around the house. My parents still bring it up to this day. So I think that was my original like inspiration that if I ever wanted to be something, I want to be a spy in a movie or like and get to do the action part of it too. The movement, that would be amazing. Um, Most recently, Michelle Yeoh. I mean, just like her career in general is so admirable. Obviously, everything, everywhere, all at once. I mean, like iconic. But just her career it's been so long, and she's done so many different things. And seeing her in all these different characters, also while doing her own stunts, she's so talented. I'd love to do one of those things that she's ever done. I think she's a huge inspiration, especially as an Asian actress. I look up to her a lot.
I love those answers. And I mean, with Spy Kids, you can't go wrong with that. I think everyone wanted to be recruited into the OSS when those movies came
Uh,
out.
and then put those little cards in the microwave that make like a burger and fries. Like that's so cool. They
Have
knew
you,
exactly
it's
what to
like,
do.
if you tried that, it's like, I don't think it would work out the same way,
I don't
but
think so, but
that,
maybe
that
one day.
world,
One day, maybe. Yeah, I hope for it.
they're always advancing technology and whatnot. So who
Ex-
knows?
exactly.
I have one more question for you, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor,
Mm.
which would you be and why?
Oh, easy. Mint chocolate chip. First of all, I just love that color. Mint green, great. But also, I mean, it's my favorite kind. I love like, and I know people who really dislike it, but I'll never understand that. Mint chocolate is my absolute favorite type of chocolate. And if I'm ever given the opportunity to ask for ice cream, I will always do mint chocolate chip. I love like the little chocolate chips in it, but also just like that minty flavor. So good.
That's great. Thank you so much, Maya, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much. I love these questions. It actually gave me so much to think about, and the tweets were wonderful. And yeah, thank you so much. I had a great time.
I hope we can catch up again in the future. But until then, for all those watching, you can catch Maya in My Life with the Walter Boys. Season 1 is out now on Netflix, and we will see you next time.
Bye bye.